I'm building Echo Creek on my N-scale layout. That's coming right up. Hi, I'm Roy Smith. For some time now, I have been constructing Echo Canyon on my N-scale layout. Along the way, many of you have been asking me, when am I going to get started with Echo Creek that flows through the canyon? Well, at long last, I have started to work on the creek, and today I'm going to show you what I have done so far. The creek is an important feature in the Echo Canyon scene because it will add depth and interest to the scene. I have to tell you that although I'm making progress on Echo Creek, it's far from finished. I'm still waiting for the Woodland Scenic's deep pour water to arrive in the mail. I still have to paint the stream banks and terrain along the creek with earth tone colors. And of course, I still have to plant vegetation along the creek. Today's episode is episode number 8 in a series of videos about the Echo Canyon project. If you missed any of the previous episodes, you can go back to the entire series just by clicking on a link that I will put down below in the description to this video. Echo Creek is about 25 miles long. It is narrow and shallow, but it carries an enormous amount of sediment down the canyon into Weber River, especially after storms and snowmelts. And in turn, Weber River flows into the Great Salt Lake. I really enjoy studying the prototype before beginning any new project on my layout, and that's what I have done in preparing to build Echo Creek. I have read about it on the internet, and I have studied maps and photographs. Let's begin by taking a brief look at some of the maps and photos. Then I will show you the progress I have been making on my layout. Echo Canyon is located in northeastern Utah, where I've drawn a red line on this map. Union Pacific tracks descend through the canyon from Wyoming at a 1.14% grade. The tracks are part of the Union Pacific's Evanston Subdivision, which stretches from Green River, Wyoming to Ogden, Utah, and which I am modeling. This map provides a closer view of the part of Echo Canyon and the creek that I am modeling. It's a little difficult to see Echo Creek on the ground, either from Echo Canyon Road or from Interstate 80, but this overhead photo shows you a bit of the creek. I hope to capture this part of Echo Creek on my layout. Unfortunately, the creek doesn't look like this for a good part of its length. Instead, much of it looks like this, devoid of trees and squeezed in between the railroad and Interstate 80. In this photo, you see the creek from Emery Bridge, which I modeled in last week's video. At one time, there were lots of cottonwoods, willows, and other trees along the creek and valley floor, and the creek meandered through the canyon. Sadly, this is no longer the case in much of the canyon. All right, we've looked at the prototype, so now let's take a look at what I'm doing on my layout. First, this view of the Echo Canyon area on my layout shows what it looked like before I began to expand the benchwork for the creek. You can see the canyon cliffs, Echo Canyon Road, and the Union Pacific tracks facing west. I am now expanding the benchwork for Echo Creek. The benchwork consists of strips of wood and masonite. I want to keep the benchwork as lightweight as possible. I am attaching it directly to the existing benchwork because I don't want to have to support it with legs. I want it to look as if it's floating in the air with no visible means of support underneath. It's 5 feet 4 inches long by 5 inches wide. Now I'm putting white styrofoam in the benchwork. I will be carving the creek into this styrofoam. As you know, if you've watched my previous videos, I use a lot of white styrofoam as a scenery base on my layout, mainly because extruded styrofoam isn't available here in Panama where I live. Besides, white styrofoam is very cheap, lightweight, and easy to work with. As you can see, the new benchwork is not yet permanently installed. It can still be detached from the existing benchwork. I am not going to attach it permanently just yet, mainly because it slopes down at a 1.7% grade toward the other end, and I need to lift it out and place it on a level surface when I pour the Woodland Scenic's deep pour water into the creek. Otherwise, the deep pour water will all run to the other end. Besides, I can still handle the new benchwork like a diorama. I can take it outside to work on it. Now I'm marking where I will cut the styrofoam for the banks of the creek. The styrofoam is only 4 inches wide, so I won't be able to make the creek meander through the canyon floor as much as I would like to. I have taken the new benchwork outside and carved and sanded the banks of the creek and brought it back inside. At first I thought it would be just fine like this, but then I realized that the creek would be too deep and too wide if I didn't make some changes. So I made the creek more narrow and less deep using Sculpt-A-Mold. I applied Sculpt-A-Mold first to the banks and then to the creek bottom. After the Sculpt-A-Mold had dried, I felt that it looked too porous and rough. I wanted to create a creek and surrounding terrain that looked relatively smooth like the prototype. So I am now applying a coat of spackling paste to it. This fills up the pores in the Sculpt-A-Mold and makes it look smoother, or as I said, more like the prototype. I apply water to the spackling paste in the creek with my finger. This turns the spackling paste into liquid and it flows more smoothly. I have applied a coat of base paint to the entire area and burnt umber to the bottom of the creek. I still have to apply earth tone colors to the entire area along the creek, and hopefully the Woodland Scenic's deep pour murky water will arrive soon so that I can pour it into the creek in next week's video. A static grass applicator that I ordered will arrive soon, and when it does, I can apply static grass to this area of my layout. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I hope you would give it a thumbs up. I also encourage you to comment down below and to subscribe to this channel if you're here for the first time. I try to bring you a new episode at 10 o'clock Eastern Time every Saturday morning, and I don't want you to miss any of the upcoming episodes. I'd like to thank you for watching. Until next time, happy railroading. I will see you again very soon.